And we're live. Hopefully you can hear me. I hear my microphone is a little scratchy this morning. Good morning, everybody. My name is Keith Stelter, coming to you from the Permian Basin, Odessa, Texas, heart of oil country in the United States. I'm your host, Tallybook Troubleshooting. We're going to have a great show for you today, establishing leadership in a new position. Well, was I thrown for a loop when I threw this together? Here I was thinking, a little bit of establishment, you want to move up, maybe you get promoted, maybe you've switched jobs. That was the kind of my thinking at the time. And looks like, thrown for a loop, I'm getting a new position. So started yesterday at a new position. I'll frame my first question once I've introduced my guest and let you know, kind of a little bit of a teaser. I'm going somewhere here new title, new little bit of something new for me, definitely. And without any further ado, let's get our guests on here. I see the final one kind of came in. We had maybe a little bit of a scheduling conflict here. We'll see. Hopefully this all goes good. Let me know where you're coming in from. I got, let's see. Let's get some of these comments. Valerie, thank you for tuning in. Very good to see you. All the way from India, welcome. Summer, thank you for being here. Man, Jorge, thank you, sir. Thank you. Kevin, always a pleasure, sir. Always a pleasure. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Love hearing. Oh, here's my beautiful wife tuning in. She's actually decided, you know what? I'm leaving the house. I'm too nervous for you. No, that's not the case at all. She had an appointment. Enrique, welcome, sir. Welcome. Terry Cook, thank you, sir, for tuning in. Wes Johnson, man, great guys over there. If you ever need equipment, reach out to Wes Johnson in West Texas. Definitely one of your guys. Bobby Riley, wow, you're on the night shift, tuning in here, staying up all night. Thank you, sir. Sonia, thank you. Good to see you. We need to get together soon. Natalie Ward, thank you for tuning in. Got India. Brian Hall, thank you, sir. Brothels. Florida, wow. They just keep coming in here. All the way from Venezuela. Good morning. Or buenos dias. I believe it's Spanish, right? It's not. I got that a little bit right. I think so. Troy McCoy, huge thank you, sir. Wouldn't be here without you today. Big shout out to you. Thank you, sir. Nigeria. Man, we're going to go on that. Amber, thank you. Tuning in from Louisiana. Puerto Rico. Wow, this is a pretty stacked lineup here. Oh, man. Australia, thank you for tuning in, Naomi. Klaus, Denmark. Very, very, very happy everybody's here. But we could go through this forever. But you're here to talk to some great folks, some great leaders, give their perspectives on you walk into a new place, what should be your first move? And to get them on, Marcus, you're going to be up, sir. Are you ready? Give me the thumbs up in the thing if you can hear me and you're ready. Oops. Click in, click. Good morning, Marcus. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate you being here, sir.
How you doing, Keith? Thanks for having me on, my friend.
Sir, do your introduction. Tell everybody where you're from, what your background is. Give them the dime tour.
Yeah, so I live right now in Raleigh, North Carolina. I am a current national, international keynote speaker, executive coach, business consultant. I'm a brand ambassador, own parts of different businesses that align with our brand. I'm also a podcast host of the Get Authentic with Marcus show. We're in the top 1.5% in the world, most popular podcast. We're about 6 months old. We hit that title in 2.5 months. And I'm a former National Football League athlete.
Sir, you just had Rashad Evans on, didn't you?
Correct. Yep, correct.
Yeah,
Rashad,
you're the big deal. Thank you for coming to my little show here. I really appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, Rashad's episode comes out next Monday. I'm interviewing tomorrow at 2:00 Sean Lights Out Merriman, and then We also got confirmation we're trying to get Mark Wahlberg booked on our show, some other great celebrities. But we also interview this business owners, everybody who just wants to get better. We're all about authenticity. That's all we care about.
Sir, that's awesome. Thank you for making the time here. I know we were kind of maybe messed up with the schedule. I got you in your car here, so we'll try and get you in and out of here as soon as possible. We'll bring you off the screen for a moment. I'll let Monty go next here. Monty, take it away, Monty.
Good morning, Keith, and
where you're coming from.
good morning, Keith, and everybody else wherever you're viewing in from. My name's Monty Peterson. I'm the principal of my own leadership and training firm. We have a specific expertise in strategy execution management, but my background is I spent 35 years with two global corporate contract service management companies. If you've ever heard of Sodexo or Aramark, that's what I did for a good part of my career and sort of drove me into this second career, in terms of, helping organizations succeed and specifically helping people succeed. So like Marcus, I do some executive coaching, but my principal business is working with senior leadership teams and strategy execution. So I look forward to the session and to hopefully sharing, some great perspectives for you.
Great to have you on, Monty. You were one of the first people to reach out to me when I was looking for my job, after COVID in, 2020. We've always had some great interactions online. So, I was really happy that you agreed to do this. So thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
Sir, and John Minyard, you're up next, sir. Go ahead and let everybody know a little bit about your background.
Good morning, Pipes. It's good to be on your show. I currently live in San Marcos, Texas, and I'm a co-owner of Fantail Services, which is a leadership, executive coaching, and consultancy firm. I've been doing that for executive coaching for about 10 years. Prior to that, I was in the Navy, did 30-year career in the Navy. Had a lot of leadership positions there. I was a Top Gun instructor for about 4 years, and then moved on to various ships and senior enlisted positions. And my last tour was senior enlisted for the U.S. Pacific Fleet, which is the largest fleet in the Navy, and about 140,000 people, civilians and Marines that I served with. And,
amazing. We've got together a few times here, of the group, just letting everybody know we've probably had the most interactions, and thank you for agreeing to come on here. Kevin Pazzo, thank you for your service. Thank you, Kevin, for tuning in. Now, let's, without further ado, let's get everybody on the screen here. Let's see if I can coordinate. The problem's going to be between, keyboard and the chair here all today. I'm sure my mic isn't perfect and a few other things. I'm still trying to get my setup here going. But I recently took on a new position here. It's a senior position with a company. It's vice president of sales and marketing with a company called 413 Mechanical. Now, they're a construction firm for the most, to put it, simply. And how does, one walk into an organization, you're going to be above, several people, you're going to be trying to make an impact at a high level. What's your opinion on what's a key thing to do on day one in your mind, and what's a key thing not to do on day one? Marcus, let's start with you. What advice could you give someone like me walking in, and it doesn't have to be that level, but anybody walking in on their first day? What do you suggest?
I'm going to tell you, Keith, exactly what I heard on Sunday night football. It wasn't Sunday night. It was Sunday afternoon football with the Eagles Giants. Brian Dabble, the new coach of the New York Giants. What he did from day one, he walked in and he was a servant leader. He connected with his players and he asked them, what do you need from me to be successful? And as a result of that, the players were shocked. From what I've heard, I know a lot of guys on the Giants in their organization, and I'm going to be very blunt. I'm going to assume Joe Judge, who was a Bill Belichick, offspring, and Bill Belichick runs it his way or the highway. He always has. I'm sure Joe took that style of coaching, brought it to the Giants, and it didn't work. Well, Brian Dabble, the Bills are my clients, so I know, McDermott is a player's coach. So Brian took that approach from McDermott and the Bills, came to the Giants and said, what do you all need from me? Because the Giants pretty much had the exact same team as last year. I mean, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley. I mean, this is pretty much the same guys, right? I mean, they got a couple draft picks. Nothing's drastically changed, but the way they played has changed. So what he did is the thing I would tell you to do. Come into the organization, have a humble attitude. What do you need from me? And stay away from, well, I'm going to tell you what to do and what I need. Because again, a real leader doesn't really care about what they need. A true leader cares about what the other people need to help everybody rise to the top. So that's why the Giants are doing so well, because Dabble really embraced McDermott's approach. And that's why the Bills now have turned themselves around. Giants have turned themselves around. When you do that in corporate America, it works all the same.
Okay, that's what to do. Quick little summary, what not to do.
Don't come in there thinking that you know everything. That's what caused me my demise, Keith, with my construction company. I had an 8-figure business, grew massive success, and because I'm like, here I am, this is all I'm about, and I know everything, I ended up basically pushing away my best people. I lost everything, bankruptcy. I had to start all over again in 2013 because of my ego and my attitude.
Very good advice. Monty, different perspective coming from the corporate world. I walk in, or anybody walking in, what do you want to do on day one and what don't you want?
I think you have to understand that the first 100 days are pretty important, on the new job. So I would say two things. Number one, let everybody on the team know who you are, so they get to know you. Be accessible. Give them an idea of what you're all about, and you obviously want to make an impression, but you also want to spend a lot of your time listening and learning and being open to what Marcus said. Not being so presumptuous as to believe that you know everything. That's pretty critical. So I would say that obviously you're looking to stand out eventually, but that first 100 days is just so important to make sure that you're doing the right things inside the organization, so people learn who you are and you understand who you're working with, and what you're going to be trying to accomplish with these people.
Perfect. And then I guess don't do the opposite of that, I guess would be your advice, what not to do, correct?
Yeah, well, obviously there's 1,000 things you can do, to make people, upset or not like you, or, to alienate you. And that's pretty easy to do, because everybody's watching the new guy or the new gal. And if your behaviors don't fit in with what they're used to, they're going to look at you funny. I mean, it could be, in one instance, being different could help you significantly. On another, it could hinder, you getting to people and being able to, collaborate across functions and jobs.
Understood. John, same question to you. Day one or the first 100 days, like Monty put it, what's the key to do and what's the key not to do?
Yeah, so you've covered a few of those things, and I think humility is one of the biggest ones coming in. But it's all about your attitude, right? Your circumstances. Let me back up a second. Your circumstances are not unique to anybody else. So I think a lot of people that move into a different position or move into a different corporation, there's a little bit of betrayal that they feel, right? A little bit angry that they got let go from the last position. And I think what you got to do is just put the past in the past. Your new employer doesn't care what you did in the last job. They hired you to do a specific job. So understand that piece of it, and put the past in the past and move on. And I think also that you just want to you want to position yourself to be a good follower, right? You may not be in the leadership position you were in the previous job, so just be a good follower, right? Support the leadership that you're now working under, and that'll carry you a lot further. You earn their trust and earn their respect. And then if you're in the leadership position, Monty said it about 100 days. I got moved around every 4 years. So I was in a new position every 4 years. Crews, new leaders that I had to follow. I always took about 2 weeks before I made any kind of decision on how the place is going to run or what I wanted to instill. I took at least 2 weeks to just assess, talk to people, figure out what's going on. And that worked pretty well. And then I think having some principles, some things that you want to accomplish while you're there, have those ready to go. That when you're asked those things, what you believe in, what your core values are, what your expectations are, will carry you pretty far.
Awesome. Want to take a moment to thank you all, gentlemen, for being here. And I also want to thank Field Gas Solutions. Reach out to Chris Laporte. He helped me put this show together kind of when things kind of changed for me last week. So big shout out to them. Look them up on LinkedIn. They have a great technology to reduce diesel emissions. They incorporate natural gas or liquid LNG into it. So big shout out to Field Gas Solutions. John, my next question. We're in this situation. A corporation looks for somebody to come in and maybe help them improve their culture, right? That's going to create maybe a little bit of, some button heads, and people are really resistant to change. If that is the position you're hired to do, what are some advice or ways to go about doing that with as little pain as possible?
So if you're looking at the culture within a company, if you want to change the culture at any point in time, understand that it's going to take time. Everything's going to take time when you start making changes within. And that's why I tell you, at least wait 2 weeks before you make these drastic changes, because you haven't been part of the culture and the climate. You're an outsider walking in. So by observing, by talking to people, you'll get an idea what those sticky points are within a company. And then as far as the culture and where it needs to go, refer back to the company's mission statement. What's your mission statement? What's the core values of those companies? And are people living by those core values in that mission statement? Or is it just a bunch of words that are on the wall that nobody knows what the mission statement is? Nobody knows what the core values of the company, or that the leadership's not living to those core values. And if that's the case, then you've got to go back up to your bosses and have a sit down with them and talk about what that mission statement really means and what their core values are. And you've got to, it's about your attitude. It's about earning trust. And by doing them, probably set yourself up with in a pretty good spot. That's what I do anyway.
Marcus, you kind of touched on it a little bit about culture, a coaching change, and instead of, my way or the highway or servant leadership, talk about, someone who's supposed to come in there and, radically change the culture. Is that shocking? Is that gonna, when the Jets or for the Giants, I mean, what's your opinion there, or in any kind of situation in the past for yourself? What's the best way of going about changing it? A guy coming in trying to change the culture.
So what I would say, Keith, is if you're trying to change the culture, focus on 4 things: innovation, visioning, sense making, and relating. So when you're coming in, you need to do a really great job of being innovative. Like John said, observe, watch what people do, figure out what is working, what's not, and be innovative in your approach, trying to solve or create a better culture after you have, just like John said, even same thing Monty said, you've observed and you've waited to kind of see what people do, who they are, how they act, and what they're all about. Then you need to come in and you need to have vision, right? Create a business vision and then help people create a personal vision. If you're going to change the culture of an organization, John said it really well, it's around alignment of values and alignment around a unified vision. If you don't have that in an organization, the culture will never be self-sustaining and healthy. Then you have sense making. Make difficult things easy to understand for people and easy to process and execute. That always makes the culture better. And then relate. Have compassion or empathy. Empathy is you've done something and you've been in someone's shoes and understand what they're going through exactly. Compassion, you feel for them, but you haven't been in their shoes. So if you focus on those things, right? Innovation, sense making, visioning, and relating as a leader, you can help to improve the culture, just like John said, over a certain period of time.
Now, to elaborate, you come in and you look at this vision, and as this guy's coming in to do this leadership, it established maybe a little bit of change, and maybe you discover the vision isn't as clear maybe as it should be. Should you take it on as an incoming leader to try and clarify that, or is that something that is gonna maybe put you in a bad position? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I'll say it again. John said it really, really well. The past is in the past. You've been hired to do a job. When you come in, you need to do the job to make the company better. If that means improving the culture, changing the mantra, improving the mission statement, the values, making them tweaked, more aligned, then you do that. Because if you're not going to do that, then you're really not going to be able to do your job to the full capacity. You may not be liked in the beginning, but as people start to see it's about them, not just you and the company overall to be better, then I feel over time, people are going to say, okay, well, you know what? Maybe that was hard to adjust to at the beginning, but now the company's doing better, more profitable. I'm doing better. I'm making more money. I'm happier. Thanks so much, Keith, for actually helping me see what I couldn't see. Because leaders, that's what they do. They help people see and they take them where they need to go. They don't show them or tell them. They take them where they need to go.
Monty, you heard two perspectives here. What do you got to add? Any changes? You disagree with anything?
I would say that it's important that as a new leader, when you come in, you recognize that there will always be resistance. You yourself being brand new are really you're seen as a threat because people don't know you. And so a good part of your effort needs to be extended towards getting to know your people and building trust and respect inside of those relationships so you can remove that threat. And you may not remove that resistance. I think there's always resistance inside an organization because people live inside their comfort level and just don't want to get outside of it. But if you want to have any chance at all of succeeding, with your priorities and what you're trying to accomplish, you're going to have to build those relationships, and you're going to have to make sure that you're trusted and you're respected, and likewise that people afford you that same consideration in return.
Perfect. And shout out to Harold Reamer. He's my new boss at 413 Mechanical. It's his birthday today. Harold, thank you for welcoming me into the organization. Do you got any questions for these gentlemen? Anybody out there? Is any big questions? I'm sorry if I missed anything in the comments. Pull it back up. I'll try and keep this going here. Once we get a question, I'll bring it up quick. But, John, going to you. Let's say you've been in the organization 6 months and you notice your approach isn't working quite, the way you want it to go. Is it too soon to adjust? Do you stay the course? Or is it, what's your advice there? How much time should one give? And I know every situation is unique, but what are some signs that you're kind of going in the wrong direction?
Well, I think if people aren't coming to you, a lot of times if you're in that leadership position and people aren't bringing you solutions or ideas or problems, then maybe they don't know what to expect from you. Maybe you haven't, like Monty said, not earned their trust and respect yet. Sometimes it just takes time. I mean, we've all said that you are a threat to certain people, and in your new position because there's somebody in that company that said, well, I should have that position that Keith's walking into. So there's always going to be somebody that's looking to potentially tear you down. You'll know who those people are. And I think the best advice that I can give you is, and Monty said it, is get to know the people you're going to be working with. Set the standards for them. Have some leadership principles and things that you want to instill in the company. And share those ideas, share those principles, set expectations for the people that you're not only working for, so you should have expectations for the people that are above you, but also set expectations for people that are working for you. And have
Perfect.
4 or 5 principles that you believe in, the core values, and instill those in the folks.
Quick question from Kevin to you, Marcus. He's asking about your podcast. Could you review it again one more time? Give him the name and where to find you.
Yeah, appreciate that, Keith and Kevin. So the name of the podcast, Kevin, is called Get Authentic with Marcus Ogden, MarquesOgden. It really focuses on really inspiring people with authentic stories. We've had on athletes, celebrities, business owners, transitional coaches, speakers. We had an episode come out yesterday with a guy talking about the whole horrible Twitch passing. Today's episode was a young lady, Jennifer, who's into PR and public relations. So people are calling it the Enlightened Joe Rogan Show. I don't know how you can look at that good or bad, but that's what we're being called, the Enlightened Joe Rogan Show, because it's diverse people, all different backgrounds, and all have a common theme. And the first question we always ask, what does authentic/authenticity mean to you? Then we jump right in. And so, like I said, it's Get Authentic with Marcus Ogden. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeart, Stitcher, Pandora, YouTube, and we're growing very rapidly because we're just very down to earth and we're very honest about our conversations.
Continued with the questions. You're, let's say, 6 months into this transition, this new role. What are some signs you're looking for that you're going about it the right way or, not going about it the right way? You heard what John said. Do you agree with that? Or is there anything else you want to add?
I definitely agree with John. And I would add, as a leader, you have to give feedback, but you also have to accept feedback. And if you want to be a great leader, ask your team, ask people that you are serving, how can I be better? How can I help you more? And once you have that type of demeanor and that type of disposition, it lowers people's defenses from wanting to see you as a threat or an enemy if you're asking them, what could you do better to help them turn their targets into accomplishments? So I like John, when he said, I was add, you want to be sure to not just give feedback as a leader, but accept feedback at the same time as well.
Perfect. Monty, your thoughts?
So really, one of your main responsibilities is to positively impact those people that are in your sphere of influence. So I'm talking about the people that you report to, the people that report up to you, and the people that you have, cross-functional, work with, that you collaborate with on a regular basis. And so you really, it's in your best interest to help them be as successful as possible. And once people understand that and they know what you're all about and they trust you, then they're going to return that to you probably 3 or 4 fold in terms of their their behavior and their support. So really you're looking to get everybody functioning at a high level inside your circle of influence. You're modeling your behavior and you're probably having a pretty significant impact on the organization as a result of doing that.
Okay, switching gears here a little bit. One of the reason I kind of threw this together was, COVID threw a lot of people for a loop. A lot of people, a lot of layoffs, a lot of changes throughout. I'm in the oil and gas industry. I know some of you guys are familiar with it. Some of you aren't familiar with it. people were laid off, and then they might have been a manager at one place for many years, and then the next role that they got was maybe just going back to being a field engineer. What amount of leadership is too much leadership, if there is a possibility of trying to work your way back up in that new position, right? Like, because if you're trying to be the boss too much, and maybe that's the wrong way of putting it, in your field position, trying to get back to that management position that you were previously, what's the right amount and what's too much? Marcus.
So in this approach, right, I think the thing is you just want to make sure that all you're doing is aligning with the company's values, missions, and mantras, and that people see you, like John and like Monty said, have the right attitude and want to collaborate with them. And it's a team effort. There's too much leadership when you're trying to always, I don't want to say poke and prod everybody, but you're always trying to ride everybody. You're always trying to push, and you're not allowing people to do the job that they were hired to do. I have a saying: if you're not allowing your trusted people, and you build trust through competency, reliability, and having each other's backs, if people that you are serving as a leader and you're not trusting to do their job, then you're wasting the company's payroll. So you need to be interactive and engage and collaborate, but don't be somebody that's always trying to push. And because what happens, you get seen as a overseer, you get seen as a driver, you get seen as a boss, and not as a good sound leader, because you're not really collaborating and trying to really help people get to where they want to go. You only worry about yourself and that whole production. And that's not going to get you very far. That's a culture that's driven off profitability, which I feel at some point people are just going to burn out.
Understood. Monty, what are your thoughts? How does that field engineer get back to being, that type of role without, pushing his boundaries too hard and fulfilling the role that he was, agreed to take on?
Keith, I think it really comes down to and this is a fatal mistake that a lot of managers make, and that's just not understanding what leadership is. So doing the things that aren't indicative of a leader. Leadership is not a position or a title or a rank. Leadership is a verb. It's an action, right? It's those things that you do. And I kind of look at it as inspiring, empowering, and serving others in order to elevate them over a period of time. So if you do that and you apply that level of thinking, you're not going to make those fatal mistakes of basically trying to be the boss or trying to pull rank or do things that are going to obviously turn people away from you. Do we have to have hierarchy? Sure. And everybody understands the importance of those and why they exist. But really, if you're going to lead other people, you have to prove it in what it is you do with them every day, and make sure that they understand that you're one of the team and that nothing's going to happen unless you all work together.
Excellent. John, your thoughts?
So it kind of goes back to my previous statement. An individual was in a leadership position in a previous company, or maybe even the same company. It's the past. Leave it alone. You've got new opportunities, new doors, new windows to climb into. But the first thing you have to do is, if you have a boss, you have to be a good follower, right? You have to support that person's vision, what they want to accomplish in company. You've got to avoid the gossip. It's very easy to start. I was in that position before, and start questioning everything that they're doing and gossiping about them. Well, I would have done it this way. And before you know it, you're in the break room, you're talking to other employees, and you're questioning that leader, which diminishes them, but it also diminishes you, because now you're questioning everybody around you, their ability to lead. Well, I could lead better. Those constant conversations and the questioning attitudes of leaders in front of other people. So I think you've got to be a good follower. You've got to support the boss. Eventually, if you support them, you've got the right attitude, you roll up your sleeves and you work hard, you'll eventually work your way back up because people will see that leadership ability in you. Um, and then you offer advice when the opportunity presents itself. If they ask you your opinion, certainly give it. But if they don't ask your opinion, maybe it's time to just shut up and color.
Good advice. I have a question here from Eric. How do you handle an owner boss who wants to change, but identifying the mission statement and core values is not a priority? Lack of continuity and lack of positive feedback are the main issues I hear from the team. So that sounds like it's kind of starts at the top problem. Is there any way to positively, you know, affect that from below, I guess, that guy's position?
For me, I would question the leadership and how are you holding people accountable within your company. If we don't have a mission statement, we don't have any core values, then how can you hold me accountable for anything that the company does? We need those core values. We need that mission statement so we have a roadmap on where we want to take the company. And if you don't have that, then maybe the leadership team comes together, sits down, and potentially drafts one. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be real wordy. It can be a very simple statement. But if you don't have a statement, then you can't hold people accountable, in my
Monty,
opinion.
is there, that kind of be, would a boss or a manager or an owner maybe take offense that he's not doing that? Is there a right way and a wrong way of kind of approaching that situation?
Well, this is a little bit of a slippery slope that Eric's kind of portraying here, because you could really run into some problems if you tried to take this on and deal with it. Because if the owner wants to, if they publicly say they want to change, but behind the scenes their behaviors are inconsistent with what you see, you may want to move on from that organization. Because if you can't, we have to face facts at certain times. If leadership isn't committed to what you're trying to do, then that's going to have a debilitating effect on the rest of the organization. So I guess, Eric, if you want to talk offline about this, give me a shout and we can have a further conversation to dive into it. But I would just say, yes, as a team, if you can make an effort to approach leadership in a professional way, ask for their time and tell them, not necessarily air them in the form of grievances, but talk about what sort of challenges exist for them inside the organization as a result of what's going on, the lack of having core values or behaviors, no mission. I mean, those are all pretty reasonable things to ask for if they don't exist. But if you don't feel like the ownership is going to change, why beat a dead horse?
For sure. Marcus, your thoughts?
Yeah, Eric, I'm going to come to you from the position of that owner, of that boss who did not see mission statements, values as a priority, and I lost everything. And I wish somebody in my organization would have came to me and did this. Talk to me about accountability and talk to me about how if I don't make a change, the organization is not going to survive. No one had the courage to come and tell me that. Now, of course, I wasn't the easy person to talk to, and I get that. But I can tell you, if somebody would have came to me and said, Marcus, here, 3 things for accountability. 1, develop an accountability mirror. Number 2, get an accountability partner. And number 3, check your ego at the door. If somebody would have told me that and said, Marcus, if you don't do these 3 things, you're going to lose the company because there's no mission statement. There's no value. There's no structure. There's nothing going on. We're done. And just like, Monty said, if I'm not going to listen to you and it wasn't going to make a difference, then you're better off leaving me and going somewhere else because I'm not the boss. So looking back at it today, I don't begrudge any of my team that left me. My estimator, my project manager, my superintendents, they didn't talk to me, but they left because they felt they couldn't talk to me. I wasn't going to change. So Knowing who I am today, I don't hold it against them if they left, because staying with me at Caden would not have been good for them because I wasn't going anywhere. But if somebody would have came and talked to me and said these 3 things need to be done to change the company, I would have changed it. And if I didn't change it, what have you lost? If I fired you or you quit, whatever the case may be, you go find another job that's better, gives you a better culture, and you don't lose. Only one that loses was me. And that's how I lost everything in 2013. I didn't check my ego at the door. I was a bad boss, and I lost everything in 2013 because I didn't make mission and values a priority. I can speak from personal experience.
Great answer. Training, professional development is always ongoing. So the question here is from Kangalin. Hopefully Kay, sorry, I probably butchered that. Kay Dexter. What are some professional development courses that you should do annually as a leader? Marcus, you got a quick one?
Yeah, so for me, I went through a program called NAPSA. It was put on by the NFL, and for me, it was really, really strong in development. But what I would tell you is just find different people, coaches, anybody that's in your profession that's putting on things annually, or you can reach out to just to get that up-to-date training, get that up-to-date information. Because again, the world's always evolving, it's always moving, it's always pivoting. The more information you have and you stay ahead of the game, the better off you're going to be in your personal and your professional life, for sure.
John.
Yeah, I don't think there's any one course out there that fits everything you need. I think, like Marcus said, for me, it's find a coach, find somebody that you can trust, find somebody that you can share your ideas with, somebody that's been in those positions with you before. Find a mentor, find a coach, and they will help you develop your leadership skills. And there's tons of professional leadership professionals out there that can help as well. But I don't know if there's one course.
Great one.
What we can create one. We have some. So,
Monty, your thoughts here. What are some professional development courses you should do annually?
Yeah, I like John. I don't think it comes down to a set course, and I think Kay has answered her own question here when she says learning is continuous. If you recognize that as a leader, then you're gonna be doing the right things, and those things really consist of the things that have already been mentioned, but also reading a lot of books. There's a lot of really, really good leadership, information that through a number of books. And I think any of us would be happy to give you a list of some of those to start with. But it really is about taking that responsibility for learning on your own. That leadership is a constant journey, and you're never going to know it all. So you've got to continually discover, and the only way you're going to do that is by on the job learning, being coached, being open to alternate points of view, and learning from your people. It's all around you in many respects.
Next question. What do you do as a leader for new employees to make them feel welcome? Monty, we'll go with you.
Yeah, this is a big one, right? Because first, you only get one chance to make a good first impression. So it's really have a very structured onboarding, and I'm not talking about just touring them through the office and showing them the restrooms and assigning keys. I'm talking about making certain that they get exposed to the people that they need exposure to, that they get properly introduced, that they know their way around the organization and how the structure works, how the organizational model works specifically for their organization. So I look at onboarding as really a 6 to 12 month process. If you really want to do it well, and it even gets down to the point where you assign somebody, a mentor or a buddy-like person just to shadow them initially, so they have somebody that they can rely on. This is just so critical in terms of making somebody feel like they're welcome, that they're part of the organization, and that they understand that there's an expectation that they participate, that they contribute to the organization's success. Those are all critical elements.
John, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think after all the HR and all the processes that they've got to go through, you pull them into your office and have a sit down. And the first question you ask them is, what is their why? Why are they there? Why are they working? What their hopes and dreams are? Does it align with you and your company? And then explain to them what they are responsible for. Make sure that they understand what their responsibilities are within the organization. And you get to know them. You get to know about their families. You get to know about their likes, dislikes. That's the servant leadership that Marcus talked about. It's about them. It's not about you anymore. So you sit down and you really, truly show genuine interest in what their why is.
Is that something that should have been done, prior to them coming on? Because at that point, let's say the why doesn't line up, where do you go to from there?
Well, it depends. Were you part of the interview process? If you weren't part of the interview process, they're bringing in employees all the time that you never interviewed. You don't even know who they are. They just, John shows up day one to work. So,
okay,
even if they're not aligned, then you can at least start to understand what their why is and make sure at least you respect that.
Excellent. Marcus, how were you welcomed in as a new player, and how did you welcome in newer players?
So what I did, and I love what Monty and again what John was talking about, what I would add is that as a leader, you need to show compassion and empathy to new people coming in the door. And what you need to do is go out of your way and ask them a little bit about themselves, family, personal life, what they like. Take a few minutes and just get some key points of them. That's not just professional, bring in a little bit of personal too. And what that does is you get to know about that person as a human, not just a coworker, a colleague, or something of that nature. And what happens is people then, again, bring their defenses down and they share more. And what you can do is say, hey, I have a similar experience. I'm very empathetic to you and what you're going through if it's something that they're struggling with. Or, hey, I'm compassionate to what you're going through. I haven't gone through it exactly, but I know what you're feeling or what you mean, all these things. And then again, these can also be used just as a bridge and conduit builder in the beginning of meeting people. Hey, I'm empathetic towards you, and I want you to know that I know I was a new person at one time. This is how I did it. Maybe some things that you might think that I'm doing, you might want to implement. So have these conversations and really show people, the new people, that you are compassionate and or empathetic to their situation and how they have to approach the day and approach their job. And when they feel that, at that point, it's a connection, then from there, things move in the right direction.
Perfect. We're moving on here. We got a few more questions here. Which supporting skills you think are, let's go with the most important for a leader? Marcus.
Without a doubt, in my opinion, it's active listening, right? Active listening. When people know you are listening to understand and not listening to respond, it makes them want to talk more. It makes them want to open up more. And you support people by letting them sit down, vent, tell you something, and not saying, oh, I know how you can fix it. I know how you can fix that. You don't have to always be a problem solver or a solution bringer. You need to be an empathetic person or a compassionate person that listens. So to me, active listening is one of the most important supporting skills a leader must have to create a healthy and a very effective culture.
Monty.
Yeah, I would echo that. But if the hiring process has done its work, then basically most of the people that show up are very technically qualified. But the number one reason that we fire people is that their inability to get along with other people. So I would say the skills that are most needed are those emotional intelligence skills. So candor, empathy, humility, being able to use those and exercise those on a consistent basis are going to get you, a lot farther. Doesn't matter how smart you are, how technically competent you are at your craft. If you can't get along with people, you're going to struggle. So I would say, yeah, those emotional intelligence skills are pretty high up there. Active listening being a part of it.
Agreed, John. Anything to add to skills as a leader?
I think one of the skills as a leader that you need to be able to provide opportunities for your people. I think you challenge them to do bigger and better things, and you also hold them accountable. But if you're leading men and women, you need to allow them opportunities to grow, be successful, and that's part of challenging them to do better. Because everybody wants more opportunities.
I agree. Okay, no problem. It was a great question. Thank you for asking it. Let's see. Onboarding. Nice answers about the onboarding process. Excellent. Everybody's enjoyed this. We're coming up to 51 minutes, gentlemen. We'll try and wrap this up in the next couple minutes. If there's any additional questions anybody wants to quickly ask out there, we'll do it and make sure we wrap up here at the hour. I want to thank you guys all again for your time and joining me today. Once again, thank you to Field Gas Solutions for help supporting me on putting this together today. Shout out to 413 Mechanical, which gave me my new position after I recently was let go from my last position. For those of you who don't know me out there, I'm a farm kid that grew up in Canada and did wireline for predominantly most of my career. Started at Schlumberger and worked kind of around the world and found myself here in West Texas and got my citizenship. My wife's from Cleburne, Texas, and it's really crazy how I ended up doing live streams and stuff. If you would have told me 3 years ago I'd be doing stuff like this, I wouldn't have believed you, but you never know where life will take you. Thank you, David Walkinshaw. Excellent roundtable. Thank you for tuning in. Jeff, gentlemen, any questions? Let's change it up. You have a question for me, John? Anything you would ask me? I brought you in here. You did an amazing job telling everybody about, a little bit about your background, what your feelings are on leadership. What do you got any question for me?
Yeah. What's your why?
My why is kind of to be better than I was yesterday. I realized, when I started out, I was not as positive as I should have been. I took maybe too high of maybe some challenges and looked at, oh my God, that's impossible to do. Like, what are they doing? Instead of taking it as a challenge, last year I did 5. Now they want me to do 10. And instead of looking at it as, man, okay, I'll try my best and end up doing 8 or something. You know what I mean? So why is, like I said, pivoting here from as an operations career for a long time, find myself in sales and trying to just challenge and see what I can do better. You know what I mean? And it's amazing when you put yourself to the test, what you can try and accomplish. And don't let anybody tell you you can't reinvent yourself, because you sure can. Monty,
what's one thing, Keith, from the session, from any of us, that you learned that you're going to apply in your new role?
Well, taking the time. I was very gung-ho to hit the ground running here and try and, it's like falling down maybe in a race. Maybe we've all seen that one race where the one girl falls down at the beginning of the 400 or 800 meter race. And for some reason, her adrenaline starts rushing and she takes it, gives it her all, and she ends up winning that race, right? Being let go at the beginning of the year, I just felt like it was such a huge step, backwards, that I have to rush so hard forwards to try and make up for that. But patience, listening, and making better moves rather than just moves, definitely is what I've kind of taken from this, and it's kind of calmed me down a little bit, I would say, and that's saying something. if you know me really. Marcus, a question.
Yeah, I was asked the question I ask every guest on our podcast. What does the word authentic/authenticity mean to you?
No edits. That's kind of what I got into, doing online and all this other stuff. The videos, the interviews. I don't do any edits. If I have something screwed up, I don't try and dress it up. To me, and try the same thing, in work or life. If you screw up, don't try and cover it up. Don't try and make it better than what it is. Just take it, learn from it, and try and do it better the next time. And it doesn't have to be perfect for people to like it. It really, people like you said, things that are authentic. And that's what that kind of means to me. I don't know if that's a good or a bad answer, but maybe that's what pops in my mind immediately. Well, what is it to you?
There is no bad answer. What is it to me? To me, it's just being who you are, unapologetic, and not trying to be someone else to make others happy, looking internally and not externally for validation. Too many people look external for validation, and that's not authentic. That's why I feel social media is a gift and a curse, because you're trying to keep up with everybody else, knowing you can't, but you're trying to put that facade on. With me, hey, I'm who I am. I lost my home, cars, all my money. I'm going through really challenging times, all this stuff. I miss who I am. So to me, it's just being real, unapologetic, and not looking for external validation, looking for internal validation, because that's what matters most.
Excellent. Well, we're going to wrap this up. John, let's wrap up. Any shout outs, your company, any events coming up you want to bring up before we close out the session?
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on this year. It's starting off very well, but the only message I want to leave behind is I want to thank all the veterans, first responders that were on the podcast today. Thank you for your service. Appreciate everything you do for us.
Perfect. John Minyard, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate our friendship and, look
Me
forward
too.
to the future. Monty, any closing thoughts, any events, shout outs, the company?
Just if you follow me on LinkedIn, thank you. Appreciate the engagement. If you don't follow me, I'm all about engagement, and I will answer your questions. And I write often about leadership, culture, emotional intelligence, strategy. So I cover some really good topics on a continual basis, and I think there's some good learnings in those things. So I appreciate your interest in that. And thanks, Keith.
No problem, sir. And for everybody on here, reach out and connect with all of us. I'm sure we are. Got a comment here from an amazing woman here in Midland. One of my mentors, Janie Snelson. If you don't know this lady, reach out to her on LinkedIn. I'm sure she'd be glad to connect with you. They call her the unofficial mayor of Midland. Great. There's nobody who knows Midland and the oil field better than Janie Snelson. Huge shout out. I wouldn't be here without her. So thank you very much, Janie. Patricia, this link will always be active on LinkedIn. Just come back and you can replay and rewind as many times as you want. Feel free to share it. And Marcus, go ahead, shout out. I know you already kind of mentioned the podcast. Any other big events or speaking engagements or charities you want to shout out?
No, I just want to thank everybody for participating. Like I said, Janie, that's what our podcast is all about. People that are talking about internal validation and authenticity. Very fortunate to have a lot of speaking jobs. Actually, I'll be in San Antonio, Texas this weekend. I got a speaking job in San Antonio this Sunday night, and I'm looking forward to that. So, So again, it's people just want to just continue to reach out to all of us, connect, and look forward to chat with everybody and going from there.
Man, you should get a connect and flight through Midland on the way home.
I'll work on that.
Actually, I'm going to keep you for 30 more seconds. I try and promote the oil field for as much as possible. Now, I know John has dealt with the oil field a little bit, but Monty, Marcus, what what do you know, kind of like in the briefest sense? Do you have a positive light on the oil field or not? Monty, let's start with you quickly. Do you know anything about it? Is it good? Is it bad? Would you like to know more, or is it just like, man, we kill polar bears and that's all there is to it?
No, America obviously runs on energy, and obviously there's new and renewable sources to consider, but we can't get to where we want to go without oil and gas. There's just no way around it. So I support the oil and gas industry and very much believe in what you all are doing, and we'll continue to do.
It's not 1985 anymore. I swear there's great technologies. It's a lot safer, a lot more environmentally sound. When you utilize a lot of this, a lot of the great technologies from medicine and a few others get some of their technologies from the gas industry. So I promise it's not all bad. Marcus, same kind of question, quick to you. What do you know? Don't know? Would you learn more? Open to learn more? What?
No, I'm the same as Monty. Like I know, we cars, fuel, energy, heat, everything runs on oil, and so without oil and gas, we're in a really, really tough spot. So for me, I'm always supporting it, and we need it. And kudos to you all for working in it. I couldn't work in it. It's not. I'm not that tough, but hey, you all doing a great job. So keep it up. So definitely something I support all the way.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate you guys' time. We're just over the hour. Thank you. Reach out to everybody. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Connect Marcus, Monty, John. Check out their profiles. Check out their companies. You got more questions on leadership. I'm sure they'd love it. And until we do this again next time, which I'm actually thinking of doing an HR roundtable. Imagine some of the stories the HR managers would tell. Man, from poop on the walls to cutting down prostitution rings on sites. I've heard many a story. I think it'd be a good episode. So until next time, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Have a great Tuesday.
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, guys. Got to run.